Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.
Well, Jason Lynch joined Equal1, having realised its potential for scale within the quantum computing industry. Now occupying the role of CEO with the only Irish quantum computing company, Jason believes that there are significant opportunities for Ireland to excel in this space. But Jason, to start, tell us about quantum computing and the purpose that it serves.
Good morning. Thanks, Karl. Absolutely. So I suppose the best way, Karl, I think to think about quantum computing is it's the next generation of compute, and it's a massive increase in the capability and the power of that compute, right? So, today we have massive computers, massive data centers, but we can't do everything that we would like to do. There's a limit on the capacity of what our compute can do today. And what quantum computing offers is a new way to do compute that unlocks exponential power. And I suppose the way that it does that is instead of using a digital bit for the foundational block, it uses what is called a qubit, and that unlocks this massive power and massive new capabilities in many markets.
And how is Equal1 commercialising quantum?
Sure. So, we have a very unique approach, I think. Our approach, our whole philosophy is around trying to make quantum an extension of what is available today rather than something completely new, which is extremely costly, extremely big infrastructure, right? Our vision and our reason the company was really founded was that back in 2017, 2018, existing semiconductor processes became capable of supporting these qubits. And what that enables us to do is really to leverage, trillions of dollars that has been invested in the semiconductor industry and build on that to make our quantum computers. And, over the last 5 years, we've been proving out the scientific proof points of that. And we're now at a point where, we're starting to engage with customers. We're looking at putting our first demonstrator machine out into the market next year. And so I suppose our approach really is solving the biggest issue in quantum today, which is how do we scale the qubit? So there's been many, many fantastic scientific breakthroughs and proof points. But one big challenge that the industry still faces is how do we go from 100 qubits today to the thousands and ultimately the millions that we'll need to do real-world applications. And that's really what we focused on. And our view is in order to do that, we need to leverage existing technologies that are already, proven that they can scale transistors to billions of transistors.
And Equal1 is the only Irish quantum computing company operating here. Why is this the case, Jason?
Well, I think there's a number of reasons. I think it won't be that way for long, right? I think there is massive momentum coming in the quantum industry. In quantum, if you look across the technologies and the potential areas where businesses could be built, it's extremely broad, right? We're focusing on quantum computing. Within that, there's a hardware component of it. There's a software component. There's an algorithm component. So there's opportunities right across the supply chain just on quantum computing. But quantum computing isn't the only quantum technology. There's also quantum communications. There's also quantum sensing. And so across these three, there's massive opportunity. And I think, it's not going to be long before there are multiple Irish companies, I think, invested and forming in this space.
Regarding the momentum, how much of a driver is AI in that?
I think it's a major driver. If you look across what the applications that quantum will affect are, right? There's sort of three that we're focused on, and maybe I'll talk about each of them. The first one is around simulating chemistry. So one of the things that, we are unable to do today is to be able to simulate even the most simple molecules, even a coffee or a paracetamol. We don't have computers powerful enough to do that. And what that means, as we all know, right, if in the drug discovery process, we typically have to take these materials and put them into humans to figure out if they're effective and safe. And we do that, again, because we can't simulate them. What quantum computing promises is it promises to be able to simulate those molecules, how the molecules bind, how the proteins fold on a computer, rather than actually having to make them in the real world. The second one is all around optimization. And optimization is, if you take any business, right? I mean, the financial industry is very focused on optimization. If you look at portfolio optimization or risk management, or even if you look at logistics, if you look at big airlines, the logistics that they have to do in terms of managing flights and weather delays and staffing and all of that, this is a very big optimization problem that cannot be solved on our current computers. It's done, in a non-optimum way, and quantum computers are very good at problems of optimization. So that's the second major application, and then the third, as you mentioned, is AI. And again, we've seen the massive leaps forward in AI over the last 18 months. But again, as I mentioned earlier, quantum has the promise of bringing AI to a new platform and a new sustainable trajectory.
And Jason, how does Irish investment in quantum compare to that of other European countries?
So I think in general, I would say there is a big momentum in investment across Europe at a number of different levels, right? So we have the level of the European, the EU, and there are many companies, including ourselves, who have been funded by the European Innovation Council, that they're really spurring on European companies to grow and become large tech companies. Then at the level of governments, there's also big investments there across Europe. I think Ireland was one of the early investors or the early funders in terms of a quantum program. So we started our DTIF back in 2019. It included IBM and MasterCard, University College Dublin, Maynooth, Tyndall. And so there again, the Irish government recognized the need for funding programs around quantum. We have, SFI and other other funders have lots of quantum activity going on in the various universities and third-level institutes. Enterprise Ireland have also been very positive and have, been with us from the very beginning and have been extremely strong supporters. And I know are, big supporters of bringing more quantum companies in, forming more quantum companies. The third one then on the VC side, there's a lot of interest in VC investment. Something like $2 billion globally was put into quantum last year, which is a significant amount of money, but still a small portion of VC overall. And there, we're funded by Atlantic Bridge here in Ireland. Again, they've been extremely strong supporters of us from the very beginning. I would say there isn't a VC in Europe who's not looking at quantum companies and looking at investing. So I would say, both in Ireland and Europe, it's a very strong story, funding, both from governments and VCs, which I think really reflects the potential for quantum computing and where it can go, and the potential for jobs and value to be created from the quantum ecosystem.
From a tangible perspective, what benefits could quantum computing deliver to the Irish economy, particularly in the context of data centre capacity?
Sure. So I think the benefits are massive, right? I think the first thing is, this will drive the quantum economy, will drive jobs, significantly, massively over the next, decade. So I would say, it has the potential to multiply by, some factor, whether it be 3 or 4 or 5, the number of jobs that can be had here for very highly technical people. Now, that means, of course, we need to have those people available. We need to have them coming from our universities. We need to have them coming into Ireland as an attractive place. So I think jobs is number one. Number two, that obviously means, startups and SMEs and the opportunity to participate in this economy is also, so new companies, new investment. I would say the third thing is around multinationals. So if you go back to the applications and the companies who are here in Ireland today, I would say there is a massive overlap and a massive alignment of the multinational companies in Ireland, pharma, financial, and semiconductor, with what quantum is going to bring. So I think it again builds on the extremely strong current situation we have with FDI. And then I suppose around the power, and you alluded to the data centers, it's obviously a big issue in terms of what the power that's required for AI today. I think two things that quantum can offer. One is it can offer, again, a massive increase in power for lower energy, right? So it can for what we do today, we can do thousands of times more for the same energy or less. And then the second thing I think is it can also help with the materials, the renewables that are going to help us to get the grid to a renewable grid, and that way, whether it be new materials for solar panels or modeling how the wind and how climate affects wave and wind energy, I think it can also be a massive tool to bring us to a more sustainable world.
So, Jason, with all that in mind, the million-dollar question is, what does the Irish government need to do so it can capitalise on this opportunity?
So I think the first thing to say is, we have regular conversations with, the senior members of the government departments, Enterprise Ireland, and I think they are aware, they are informed, they do know that this is an extremely important strategic topic that we need to be part of the conversation on, right? So, I mean, I would say, a number of things. One is make it attractive for companies to form in terms of, quantum companies. Make it, I think, again, as we build an ecosystem that then sort of becomes a momentum and we have the ingredients here, and I would say we should look at what we've done before and sort of repeat that. Ireland is a place where multinationals, the biggest multinationals can work with, small startups and universities in a way that we're small enough to know each other personally, but big enough that we can do, things on a global scale. And that, I think that's something that Ireland has proven before, and we should take that and bring that into quantum. So I think jobs, skills, we need to look at bringing quantum into our universities. We need to look at how do we bring quantum to people in the market already, right? I mean, one of the challenges with quantum is it's a very different way of thinking. It's very different to the current software stack that we have. So as well as training our graduates, we also need to look at how do we look at people already in the market and, upskill them and give them the visibility of what quantum means.
And what specific skills will you be looking for from graduates in this area?
So it's quite a broad range. We begin from the quantum physics side. So we have a physics and applied physics is a key thing because we're still really developing. If you sort of think about the qubit as the transistor, the transistor started in the 1950s. But we're still developing and still bringing new structures in place, and it'll be similar for the qubits. We need material science, applied physics. So there's a whole new set of skill sets. I think that physics and applied physics graduates will be able to take avail of with this quantum economy. So that's the physics side. We then have sort of the more general, or the more standard, I suppose, silicon and electronics. So, what you need to put around these qubits is lots of very smart, very low noise, very low power electronics. I mean, the other thing that I didn't mention is that the qubits are extremely fragile, and so fragile that we need to cool the environment down to very, very low temperatures. We cool ours to round about 1 Kelvin, which is 1 degree above absolute zero, to give it an extremely clean environment so the qubit can stay in the quantum mode as long as possible. And, what that means is it means a whole new challenge in terms of the electronics we put around it. We need to operate these electronics right next to the qubits. And so that means, a lot more challenges around how it's designed. And I think that's going to drive, business for semiconductor companies. That's the second big, pillar. The third one then is around the software. We need software engineers to be able to code, the signals that need to be put to the qubits, so that they can run the algorithms that the end users need. So it's a broad range of skills. We're almost 40 people today. We have plans to double here in the next 12 months, and plans to double again, to 200 people here in the next number of years. It's an extremely exciting area.
And another exciting development for Equal1 is that you've recently signed a memorandum of understanding with the Irish Centre for High-End Computing. But what will this mean for innovation in quantum computing here in Ireland?
Well, iCheck, the Irish Centre for High-End Computing, is really the method through which Irish companies and researchers access the most powerful computers in Europe. So, we have our own here, but also, it's through iCheck that researchers get access to these very large compute clusters across Europe. And obviously then there's a very natural alignment and a very natural partnership that we would have, because quantum very much is seen as an extension of high-performance compute. And so the exciting thing for us is really to be able to, in the next few years, be able to offer our platform to Irish researchers and Irish SMEs through the likes of iCheck, so that they can benefit from this, this quantum economy that's building. So what we would be hoping is that this is the start of a relationship that ultimately we're able to offer the same researchers, the researchers doing climate change modeling, who are looking at new materials, that they would be able to access our quantum computers quickly.
Well, if you've just tuned in, that was Jason Lynch from Equal1, and we will certainly watch with interest to see how the quantum computing industry develops in Ireland.
Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.